But the impact of having a real live person there versus...
David Barris is a second-generation survivor and docent with the Florida Holocaust Museum.
What happened during World War II and the Holocaust was true. If I don't tell the story will be lost, and no one will know what happened.
His mother was sent to Auschwitz, one of the most infamous concentration and death camps. Even the journey there was fatal for some. But despite his account and mounting records as evidence that the Holocaust did occur, some still deny it happened, like Arthur Jones, who lost his race in Illinois as a Republican candidate for the U.S. House in 2018.
If you did any honest investigation of the Holocaust, you'd realize that it is nothing but an international extortion racket by the Jews to bleed, blackmail, extort, and terrorize their enemies.
Despite Jones's claim, over 11 million people were killed during the Holocaust under the Nazi regime led by Adolf Hitler. More than 6 million of them were Jewish. To combat a trend of denial, Florida lawmakers passed legislation in 1994 making Holocaust education mandatory for school-aged children. Jennifer Goss is with Echoes and Reflections, which partners with the Anti-Defamation League. The group provides materials and lesson plans to middle and high schools nationwide to teach about the Holocaust, genocides, and anti-Semitism.
Florida actually is one of the rare states that has pretty specific standards about what is to be taught. But some states just say you have to learn about the Holocaust.
Goss says Holocaust denialism and anti-Semitism are growing problems globally. Edward Kissy, an associate professor at the University of South Florida, says a lack of education about the Holocaust is no longer a valid reason for denialism. He points to two different kinds, out-and-out denialism and a term he coined called cynical denialism.
The cynical denialism may have occurred for a variety of reasons. There is a globalization of knowledge about the Holocaust, if you like, Holocaust fatigue or Holocaust deluge. And therefore, in anger, in reaction to that, they just don't want to give it much force and substance. And then the other is not a Holocaust deluge, but it's just simply politics of acknowledgement. They think that when they acknowledge it, they are giving it some significance that they just don't want to do.
In 2009, Iran's former president Mahmoud Ahmadinejad spoke with CBS News anchor Katie Couric and shared this view.
But in World War II, 60 million people were killed. Why are we just focusing on this special group alone? We're sorry for all the 60 million people that lost their lives equally. All of them were human beings. And it doesn't matter whether they were Christians or Jews or Buddhists or Muslims. They were killed.
When you bombard them with some historical knowledge of the Holocaust, they will always find an aspect of the Holocaust to deny.
In a United Nations publication called Holocaust as a Guidepost, Kissy says it might be time to think of a new approach to genocide prevention.
There are many people who deny the Holocaust who are very well educated. They have read it, but they deny it anyway. Okay. So I am not sure whether education might be the solution, but education cannot be overlooked.
Since the Holocaust, multiple devastating genocides were witnessed over the past 50 years, like Cambodia from 1975 to 1979. Then, the brutal and rapid genocide of 2 million people in Rwanda, spanning just months during 1994. Or Darfur over nearly 2 decades that displaced millions. Each genocide is different, but Kissy says studying their similarities could lower the chance of cynical denialism.
If somebody who comes from Rwanda, who knows very well that racism and ethnocentrism were part of what caused the genocide in his or her country, who is also aware of anti-Semitism, racism, and ethno-nationalism as causal agents or causal factors in the Holocaust. These are two people who will share things.
Over 400 laws were passed in Nazi Germany. Similar to Rwanda, it took place in the open. The Holocaust was a slow movement to eradicate otherness. By the end of the Holocaust, 6 million Jews died, along with millions in countless other groups.
I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and our story comes from our parents' personal experiences. And
Sandy Mermelstein is a second-generation survivor. She works with the Florida Holocaust Museum to take stories out of a book and humanize them. She shares her story so something like this doesn't happen again.
You know, the Holocaust was not just a big statistic. It was 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. They were human beings, just ordinary human beings.
Meghan Bowman, USF Newsroom.